Hello, and welcome to the tutorial on how to get started with building intelligent assistants using Rasa Stack Starter Pack. Rasa Stack is an open source framework for building intelligent conversational assistants. It consists of two libraries, Rasa NLU for natural language understanding and Rasa Core for dialogue management. If you are new to Rasa Stack, then the best place to get started is checking out the Rasa documentation. The documentation has the quick starts for both Rasa NLU and Rasa Core. These quick starts allow you to test these frameworks and see how things work in action. But if you have already done that, then you are all set to go ahead and build your first custom Rasa assistant. To help you get started, we created a Rasa Stack Starter Pack, which you can find on the Rasa Core documentation installations page. After scrolling down to the very bottom of this page, you will find a link to the Rasa Stack Starter Pack. This starter pack contains all the files and some data that you can use to build your first custom Rasa assistant. We also have some additional data that you can use to improve your assistant. You can find this data on the Rasa community forum. The file is called smalltalk.md. Make sure to download this file at the beginning of using the starter pack. You will need this later. The initial version of the starter pack allows you to build a very simple and fun assistant capable of cheering you up by telling jokes. To get started, clone the GitHub repository of the starter pack so that you can use the files of this repo as the basis of your first custom Rasa assistant. If you haven't installed Rasa NLU and Rasa Core yet, you can do it by using requirements.txt file provided by this repository. This starter pack also uses a spacey English language model, so make sure to download and install it as well. Now, let's take a look at what files this repository consists of. As mentioned before, this repo contains all the files you will need to build your first custom Rasa assistant. A directory called data contains the training data files for both Rasa NLU and Rasa Core models. All the other files will work as additional components and configurations needed to train the model and build the assistant. Now let's take a look at all these files in more detail. NLU data.md file contains the training data for NLU model. This data consists of intents and corresponding examples of how the user can say specific things. NLU config file contains the configuration of the processing pipeline which is going to be used to train the NLU model. Here we are using a pre-made spacey-based processing pipeline. Stories.md file contains the training examples for the Rasa Core model. These examples are called stories. A Rasa story is an actual conversation between a user and a chatbot where user inputs are expressed as corresponding intents and entities, while the responses of a chatbot are expressed as actions. A domain.yaml file contains the domain configuration of the assistant. A domain consists of all the intents and entities that the assistant should be able to understand, as well as all the actions and templates that the assistant should be able to use as responses. Actions.py file contains the code of the custom action that is executed once the action is predicted. Here, a custom action is used to retrieve a joke by making an API call. And finally, endpoints.yaml file contains the custom action webhook configuration. Now it's time to use all these files to build the assistant. Start by training Rasa NLU model by using the following command: make train NLU. This will train the Rasa NLU model and store it in your project directory. Next, train the Rasa core model by running the command make train core. This will train the Rasa core model and store it in your project directory as well. After that, start the custom action server by running the command make action server. This will register all the custom actions you have. In the starter pack, we have only one custom action called action joke. And finally, launch the assistant by running the command make cmd line. This will start the assistant in your command line and will allow you to test it out. Once the assistant is loaded, you can test it by starting the conversation. By now, you have built a very simple Rasa assistant, but there is so much you can do to improve it. One of the ways of how you can do it is using the Smalltalk dataset that you downloaded at the very beginning of using the starter pack. This data contains a bunch of other interesting intents that you can use to improve the Rasa NLU model. To use them, copy all these examples and add them to nludata.md file. Once you do that, retrain the model so that the Rasa NLU model would pick up these new examples. After training the NLU model, enhance your Rasa core model by writing new stories with different dialogue turns. Don't forget to update your domain file and create new actions by adding them to actions.py file. And that's it. This is how you can use this Rasa Stack starter pack to build your first custom Rasa assistant. If you have additional questions or if you would like to learn more about Rasa Stack, make sure to check out the documentation and post your questions on the Rasa community forum. The sky's the limit of what you can build with the Rasa Stack, so keep improving this assistant and share your creations with the Rasa community. We are looking forward to seeing what you can build.